Hey everyone, it's Ivan with KeepAtcher.com, here to bring you the next part in our coast-to-coast adventure. We just finished our, I guess it would be our 4th range day up at Waxahachie, Texas, and from there we ended up driving down, and we got there basically the day before our next range day. And first thing we had to do is confirm some guns because we got some new ammo in. So went out there to the long range, 1,000-yard range, started confirming some zeros. And while we were zeroing guns, there was a massive spider. Huge spider. It just killed something. But got up the next morning and got after it. Once again, awesome group of people ended up coming out there. We ended up initially kind of starting it off right there at, can't remember the number of the range, but it was basically their 180-degree range. They had this awesome range, big giant berms. And right there, we ended up going kind of through our safety brief and going over some of the guns we had out there for people to shoot. Honey Badger pistol. It's fun. And lastly, BRN 180. This is their Gen 2 upper receiver, chambered in a 300 Blackout. This also has direct thread. This is the full Nelson on here. Safety stuff. All the guys at the ranch,
so if I see you doing something stupid,
great guys,
I will stop you
incredibly helpful. They got us a big couple shade awnings set up so that at that initial short range, everyone could actually be in the shade, which was huge. And every range you go to, it's kind of cool because basically they're set up differently. So at the Ranch TX, we had this big 180-degree range where we had set up basically all of our pistols as well as everything chambered in 300 Blackout. And then had steel, a bunch of the Thor Targets steel, set up kind of in a, kind of almost like a horseshoe, kind of C-shaped. And then a number of other silhouettes even further out there that they had already had on that range. And so it gave everyone an opportunity to, depending on what they were shooting, to either shoot at targets fairly close or further and further out, depending on what they were shooting. And people got after it.
Better trigger.
We had all the offerings out there from Q for people to shoot, as far as both the Honey Badger SD as well as the Honey Badger pistol with the silencer on there. And as far as 300 Blackouts go, we also had the BRN 180S. That's sent out by Brownells. Their new Gen 2, chambered in 300 Blackout. That thing's a lot of fun to put the rounds through also. And we also had the H&K SP5 as well as the TP9 with silencer. Both of those sent out by Shooting Surplus. A lot of fun being able to shoot rounds through those. After we spent the first half of the day shooting over there on that 180-degree range, we ended up heading over to their long range, 1,000-yard range. Up there, we ended up getting to shoot all of the longer range guns. All our 5.56s, both my Sugar Weasel by Q, the prototype 5.56, as well as the N4 Recon by Noveske, also the Leonidas 12.5-inch 308 7.62 by 51 pistol. That thing is a ton of fun. And we also shot the 2 bolt guns. So we had rifle 301, chambered in 243, and then probably everyone's favorite, the Fix by Q, chambered in 6.5 Creedmoor. I'm gonna assume it was everyone's favorite because there was a line pretty much the entire time for people to shoot that. But it was really fun. Being able to have the space, the range to actually stretch it out. People were shooting that thing out to 1,000 yards, and pretty much everyone that got behind it was getting their hits, which on the one hand is also impressive in that there was no letting that thing cool or anything like that. Like that thing pretty much got shot for, I don't know, probably like 4 or 5 hours straight, however long we were on that range. And we pretty much shot out on that range until sunset.
So you have these berms on the side, basically second ball.
And we had another shooting competition. Usually range days, like there's usually a little bit of variation. Part of it depends on the range. So at this range, we're up on this shooting tower, basically this elevated position, and there's still silhouette at 100 yards. So what we ended up doing, using my Sugar Weasel 5.56 prototype, serial number 1, it's pretty cool. The silencer on there too. But what we ended up doing is on the buzzer, you'd retrieve your magazine, 2 rounds, insert it, send the bolt forward, break 1 shot, hopefully getting a hit, transition shoulders, and break 1 more shot. You could use support if you wanted.
Nice. 19.08. I literally asked, do you understand the course of fire?
I'll just shoot both.
And you have slows? You know what though? You got both hits. That's what counts. Can't miss fast enough. This is just something fun, like it gives you an opportunity to transition.
We ended up going through, found our 2 winners who shot it the fastest and who shot it the slowest, but got both their hits. And both those guys got a brand new ESD sling, one of the special ones with actual tags, coast to coast, by Edgar Sherman Design. I've been able to go and put on these range days largely because of all the help of the sponsors. Really appreciate their support, whether it's Q with pretty much their entire lineup out there, all of their different guns, as well as silencers, as well as SB Tactical. Most guns that could have them had different SB Tactical braces, whether it was SB A3s or ones for the TP9 or the H&K SP5. And then on top of that, also, of course, Edgar Sherman Design. Pretty much all the guns out there had ESD slings. And last but not least, High Point. High Points are just fun to shoot, especially that High Point carbine with the prototype Erector 9mm by Q. That thing is a blast. Of course, none of this could have happened without ammunition. G9 bullets, they make amazing stuff. Most of their stuff is actually like defensive loads or hunting loads or pretty much like military application. They actually have a lot of great defensive loads that are actually external hollow point, solid copper, but they did not send that stuff. They basically made a bunch of Subsonic 9mm for all of our 9mm as well as 5.56. Incredibly grateful because that stuff is pretty much impossible to find in 2020. And they kept everyone shooting. Also really appreciate Minuteman Munitions sending out Subsonic 300 Blackout, being able to give people the experience of actually shooting quiet subsonic loads. And our friends over at Gorilla Ammo sent out a bunch of Supersonic 300 Blackout. So we can keep those guns going pretty much all day long. If you ever get the opportunity to go down, do something at the Ranch TX, I would encourage you to. Every year they have shooter symposium, as well as tons of different other classes, instructors that go through there. As far as the facility, it's pretty amazing, especially if you want to do distance stuff, being able to reach out 1,000 yards, known distance, steel all through there, or even the 180-degree ranges. Really cool stuff out there. But really appreciate all those guys' help, whether it is just RSOing or just kind of helping like logistically get this thing going down there at the Ranch TX. While every range day is a little bit different, the one thing that is consistent is a group of incredible people out there. Really appreciate all of you guys that made it out there. It was awesome being able to hang out and shoot with you guys. Great group of people. Be sure to join us as we continue the journey, making our way from Texas over on up to Huntsville, Alabama, where we will have our second to last range day as we continue to make our way across the country, coast to coast. But as always, thanks for joining us at kitbadger.com. Look forward to seeing you next time.